Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So unfortunately today we're talking about another example of a company or agency bending the knee to online outrage, mainly from people who have absolutely no interest in their product or their talents that are involved. This is following a very disturbing trend where it feels like, and I keep saying this, but it's the truth, it feels like we're going back to 2020, where people are getting their sponsors and their platforms targeted over the most benign and ridiculous things they say online or during their content creation generally. And today's really an update to what I talked about less than 24 hours. This was my video talking about a situation where a VTuber was targeted by thousands of users online thanks to their comments about this. So Minecraft, for the fourth or fifth year, has come out with this DLC that is called Good Trouble that masquerades itself as this educational experience where you learn about civil rights and some of the leaders involved with that over the course of time. But in practice, this is much more focused on teaching kids how to protest. And also, people say, well, what's the big deal? It's a DLC. Well, this DLC is in many schools. Minecraft partnered with many middle schools, for example, with kids as young as 8 in some cases, where this is a part of the curriculum. So they're being exposed to this stuff at a very young age, and people have an issue with that. And one of the people who had an issue with this as a concept is this VTuber named Jelly from the FaZe Connect VTuber agency. And this is their post that got so much traction, saying, "Screw it, man. I think pushing politics in my children's sandbox game is disgusting, especially when it's disguised as education. Let me play my stupid block game without having to engage or associate with any of your stupid political garbage that I literally do not care about." Now understand, the quotes were very upset about this. Thousands of people attacking this individual and FaZe Connect, her agency as well. They were calling her a white woman, a white nationalist, also saying things like, she's an American, which literally none of these things are true. She doesn't live in America. She's not even white. And also, all she said, she didn't want politics in a children's sandbox game. I think that's pretty reasonable. A lot of people agree with that statement, but unfortunately, this tweet was deleted sometime between late last night and early this morning. And a lot of people are looking at her agency, FaZe Connect, and wondering, was she forced to take down this tweet? Because it doesn't seem like something she was really keen on doing. It seems like it was something management wanted to happen. But to give you an idea here, they bent the knee. And it's very clear they bent the knee. So FaZe Connect came out with an official notice regarding recent events, saying this: "Thank you for supporting FaZe Connect. Recent comments made on Twitter by one of our talents included discussion on sensitive issues. Following an internal review, these comments were taken down. We sincerely apologize for any issues caused by this incident. FaZe Connect's focus has always been and always will be providing entertainment through different personalities and a wide range of unique content. We do not tolerate racism, hatred, or bigotry in our communities. Thank you for your understanding." So this is the thing. A lot of people are looking around, and these are the people they are trying to basically bend the knee to in this situation. You can see some comments here. "All I want is for these people to stop BSing with their wussy excuses, no politics in gaming, woke DEI, brother, just admit you hate people of color. Say it with your effing chest. They're so scared of admitting what they really are. They just need to admit that they're racist crapheads who couldn't get over their daddy's mentality and refused to ever change as people. Jelly deleted her tweet, it seems, or Sakana must be quite pissed off at her and told her to delete it. Either way, we won. Woke is back, baby." Here's another example. This person's saying, "I'm tired of politics in my games," quoting Jelly. "Look inside. It's an optional DLC about civil rights. The DLC is for a version of Minecraft she doesn't play. Bro, I don't watch VTubers." Well, end statement. So this person, who's one of the loudest quotes, getting angry, doesn't even watch VTubers in the first place. And then another example of who they bent the knee to. You have to really start looking into what kind of culture most FaZe Connect allows, or at worst, fosters. FaZe was built up by Pippa since the Hogwarts game controversy by appealing to the far-right people. Most of FaZe's EN talents tolerate or embrace them as well. It's FaZe's original sin, in my opinion, one that they've been dragging because it's what allowed the corpo to grow while all the other small corpos have died off. They ought to have cut them off a long time ago, but they won't because that's their niche, that's their demographic. So these are the type of people this statement is addressing, in my honest opinion, and I think that's a fair one. Okay? They're basically blaming Pippa for playing Hogwarts Legacy because that was a real thing. She was being attacked by thousands of users being called transphobic for simply playing Hogwarts Legacy, and apparently that is the original sin of FaZe Connect as a company. Now, returning to the statement, we'll look at the comments and reactions to this in just a second, but I want to make a couple things clear. I'm not here to rag on any of the FaZe talents, and I'm not even really ragging on FaZe Connect as an agency that is very well respected overall, but I'm going to criticize this post, this response to the situation, which I think is a massive L. It is a gigantic L. They're bending the knee. They're setting a very bad standard. That is what's going on here, okay? It seems like, based on what most people are interpreting here, they threw Jelly under the bus. And also this language here about not tolerating racism, hatred, or bigotry in our communities, it's basically implying that what she did incorporates these statements right here. So they are basically agreeing with the interpretations people have of her post. Just like anything else with this cancel culture stuff, it's no longer even about what you say, like what you actually say. It's about how people perceive your statement. It's not about fairness and objectivity here. It's just like, oh, this person saw this post about Minecraft and not wanting politics in that game. Oh, but I take it this way, in an extreme way that is a straw man and not representative of what Jelly actually said. But that's what people are paying attention to, and that's what's getting punished. It's not the actual statement itself, and I think that's a huge mistake. And also, this sets up a standard, okay? This is now going to be a standard people are going to apply. Not only does this give a feedback loop to this outrage culture and this mob that is angry, it's also going to extend to further talents. Now, I look at my situation with Advance. They came out with basically a stance on how they're going to treat their talents and possibly punish them or remove them. I don't think people at Advance really have to worry about that because, well, they got the mob got rid of the two people they wanted to get rid of, which was me and Straub. They don't really care about anyone else. But when it comes to FaZe, the people who are mad at Jelly, they're probably mad at all the talents because FaZe is known for having edgier humor among their streamers, and, you know, okay, that's fine. Nobody cares, but the people online are going to use this standard to go after further talents. It is not a good decision whatsoever. And I think, quite frankly, it's rehashed some former controversies that did not get addressed, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But you can see a lot of people are celebrating this, but largely you can see the replies. I mean, just look at the number of likes on these replies and the frequency of basically critical replies. You can see this first one expressing shame in this decision, 2,800 likes. There is no understanding. You will simply start to fade. I am so deeply disappointed in FaZe Connect for this. You're walking on thin ice. You don't cave to people like this. Jerry was clear or absolutely correct in her opinion, and this starts you down a dangerous path, guys. Seriously. Not wanting political things in a game is normal. L. Crapping all over one of your talents for making an uncontroversial statement that a children's book block game shouldn't be political is going to bite you in the end. Bending the knee to people who don't care about you and only want to harass your talents when they haven't done anything wrong is not going to end well. Regardeds. Hope it was worth throwing Jelly under the bus because a minority of regardeds were crying. But why? L. Zero backbone, major L. What's pathetic is that you throw her under the bus, but remained silent when Clara was openly celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk and calling for more to be ended. Now, I'm going to take a second to focus on this. This was a controversy back in September of last year after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, where on a personal account, the FaZe Connect member Clara made some statements on Instagram that people seem to have a big issue with, beginning with stuff like this, where you can see the headline here, where they say, I'm not going to say it, in reference to public executions. and then responding to what appears to be someone sharing their story and saying, couldn't have happened to a more deserving person, to be honest, but this level of political violence feels so dangerous. And then they caption it underneath saying, no rights were ever won without violence. The left in America needs to remember that. The Second Amendment also applies to them for now. And it was literally created for this exact reason. So a lot of people saw this literally the day after the assassination, and they interpret this as justifying political violence. Now, this situation would get a lot of attention back in September, but nothing happened. There was no statement from FaZe Connects. There was no punishment. Nothing happened. They just continued on. And if that's their policy and how they want to handle something like this, okay. But now they have this new policy. They've changed things where they're punishing one of their talents and making them delete their tweets and making public statements over someone not wanting politics in Minecraft. Yeah, so people are going to rehash the old controversy from September. I think a lot of people have largely forgotten about that or didn't even know about that in the first place, but this sort of a statement is now going to create a standard that is rehashing old controversy and will be used further against talents in the future. But let's return to some more replies here. The beginning of the end. Tagging the CEO, spineless coward, glorifying death of conservatives, okay. Wanting block game to be about block game, not okay. Jelly did nothing wrong. You are literally just making this worse. Congratulations, you bent the knee to the wrong crowd. They'll never let you escape now. Have fun with the new audience. Genuinely disgusted that you would throw your talent under a bus despite saying nothing wrong. Nelson Mandela literally murdered civilians, and the game said this was good trouble. That is bad. Advocating for game ending for kids is bad. Apologize to Jelly. Not me. You have Pip on your roster. Like, what is all this? But hey, enjoy being forced to do this every second by the mob, I guess. And more people pointing out stuff considered or included in good trouble. Don't remember you saying anything when Clara cheered for Kirk's death. L. Not only was Jelly correct, another one of your talents celebrated the ending, the assassination of conservative activists, and you said nothing about that publicly. Oh, but you wouldn't police Clara cheering on an assassination. F off. Good job bending the knee to people who wouldn't have watched your talents in any capacity anyway. Nothing happened to Clara for cheering on the death of Charlie, but saying politics doesn't belong in a children's game is just too far apparently. Disappointing. Pathetic behavior on your part. She did nothing wrong. We do not tolerate racism, so why is the FaZe CEO calling Jelly a monkey? Now, I've seen this a couple times, and I think it's being overblown. I mean, she is a monkey-themed VTuber. Like, that's a part of her whole aesthetic, but people are just pointing this out because, again, it's not about what you actually say. It's about the perception. That is how this is being taken. This is how so many of these situations recently have been taken. It's not about the objective statement you're making. It's about how crazies online perceive your statement. So yeah, I think that's a fair point to raise here. Do yourself a favor and delete this tweet. Y'all are regarded. This whole situation could have been handled better by everyone. So I'll just say it. A talent of yours, Clara, cheered on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I didn't see a single statement from FaZe about that. But now you throw Jelly under the bus. Shame. She deserves better management. Rare L. Not gonna lie. And overall, I mean, you're gonna see a lot of these sorts of statements, but FaZe would make a reply underneath saying this. Please do not direct any questions regarding recent events to any of our talents. Thank you for your continued support. Now, this is very fair, okay? If you literally get one thing out of this video, it's to not bother the FaZe talents about the situation. If you think Jelly did nothing wrong, go and support her. If you think FaZe made a bad decision here and you don't like their statement, go ahead and criticize the statement, but don't go around harassing the talents. Absolutely don't do that. And don't even bother them with questions because it's clearly this is a management decision. You don't know where they stand and you can't really or shouldn't pry into this because they're not going to give you an answer anyways, like obviously. But of course, I think this public statement is worthy of criticism and people talking about it. And again, there's a new standard for FaZe Connects. And whether they follow through on that standard or not is going to get a lot of backlash. I think in the end, this statement did nothing but make the supporters angry. And it gave the side that is holding the pitchforks and are angry at Jelly and FaZe and all their talents, it gave them more ammunition. And that is not something that I think was a good decision. Again, I'm not ragging on them that hard. I'm ragging on the statement. I don't like it. I think it's an L. I think they bent the knee, and I don't think it's going to play out well for everyone involved. I think now there's going to be a lot more targeting of various FaZe members who do have edgy senses of humor. That's never, I guess, been really a problem internally. They've never had to make these public statements before, but now people are going to be demanding it. And they're going to use this situation as the example of a time where you listened. And now, if someone perceives anything they say or joke about as being racist or hatred or bigotry, well, it's going to be hard. Either you're going to have to ignore them and look like you're not following through on your own standards, or you have to follow through and continue to appease people who have no interest in your company or your talents whatsoever. I just think overall, very disappointing situation. FaZe has always had a reputation of treating their talents really well and sticking up for them, even when that means saying nothing. When people are trying to cancel them, that does sometimes involve saying nothing. Okay, you don't always have to make like a public statement backing them up. Like they didn't have to come out and say like, Jelly, we agree with her statements and we got her back. No one's asking for that. You could just ignore it. This whole thing would have blown over in a couple days. But I guess the heat got too much and they thought this was in the best interest of the company and or the talents. But yeah, that's what happened. And if you want some more conversation about this, I was on the latest Side Scrollers podcast alongside my wife, Darling Straub, and Kirsha as well. And we talked about this literally as it happened. It was literally dropped right as we were live a few hours ago. So if you want to see an extended conversation on that and hear some other perspectives, make sure to check that out. I'll put a link to it in the pinned comment as well as the description. And of course, as well, make sure to support my Patreon. We're doing a lot of stuff over there. There should be my first Patreon exclusive upload going live on there in just a day or two. So again, I'll put a link to that in the pinned comment and description as well. Thank you guys for the crazy support on all of that. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.